Yo, we are back. You just check the mics all coming through. Yep, seems okay. I'll test the sound shortly. Should be good though. Let me just check the settings here. Yeah, we should be good. I haven't done any DJ streams or anything since I last did a Bitwig stream. Tonight, going to be looking at trying to refine my drum workflow in Bitwig. I've got quite a few tools at my disposal, um, but I'm not. Yeah, as I've mentioned in an earlier video, I'm not the biggest fan of Bitwig's drum machine. Just there's some stuff that just it doesn't handle as well as Groove Agent, which is what I'm used to using as a drum machine in Cubase, and thankfully it's available as a full version, a standalone VST, which I've been using in Cubase for a long time. This is EXO, which is a newer one to me. I've had it a while, but only recently kind of went to the trouble of adding all of my one-shot libraries to it properly. And so this is a fun tool to work with for, I find it fun for kick and snare one-shots. You can get some quite interesting happy accidents out of the randomizations in here. And then I've got a couple instances of backbone, one for kick, one for snare. The reason I've got those is because I'm probably going to use EXO to choose samples that will work with other elements that we'll pick here. And EXO seems to do some sort of behind the scenes gain staging or squashing or something. If you pull a sample into your arrangement raw, it's going to be a lot louder than EXO at its default values. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, if it's trying to kind of pre-mix them to a level that they would generally want to be at by loudness levels or something in the background. I have no idea, I haven't really read on how that works. There may be a setting I'm missing that you can turn off, but I think we're going to use this to kind of choose our kicks and snares, maybe even layers of 2 kicks and a snare and a clap, or 2 snares. And then we can throw those layers into Backbone and further refine them on one channel for the kick, one channel for the snare. I've got Groove Agent in here because it's still by far my personal best workflow in Bitwig for working with breaks. So yeah, if we want to throw a break loop in there, this will be what we'll use for that. And then finally Addictive Drums, which I'm probably just going to use for hi-hats and cymbals and things like that, just to kind of add some more liveness to the tops, especially if we can't kind of already achieve that with a break. Depending on the break that we choose, it might not have any rides or be a particularly top end heavy break. Using something like this can be quite nice, but really this is the first time I've really kind of jumped into Bitwig and thought, okay, let's build some drums from scratch. You know, I'm so used to doing that in Cubase. I've really been focusing more on the synthesis side of things, so this will be quite fun. It's Friday night, so I can go for a while and just see what we come up with. I'll probably start with EXO. Interestingly, this is actually free right now for anyone who buys Bitwig. So if you were to buy Bitwig at the moment, you get EXO free with it, and it's a tool I've only been using recently, but it is really quite cool for working with drum one shots, especially if you've got quite a large library. You've got ways to kind of further refine the pool of samples it chooses from. So at its default value of 10% drumminess here, and this is kind of how drummy the sounds are. There'll be some weird kind of stabs and stuff in there when this is all the way down. And that's kind of depicted in this big, almost like galaxy of drum one shots. This is every drum one shot that you've pointed it towards, and you'll see them start to vanish a little bit as you pull this up. You pull it up to about 20%. That can be overkill. 15 or so can be good, but at 20% you should really start to kind of eliminate a lot of the weirder sounds and just get kind of quite nice drum sounding one shots. So we'll try it at 20%. if we want to expand our variety, we can always dial it back to 15. Alright, so the way this works, this is our pool of sounds. I think it kind of works going one way, left to right and up to down in kind of length of sample and pitch, something like that. But they're almost kind of color coded. All of the kick drums are really going to be in this red cloud. Blues, really snares. These orange ones tend to be kind of percussion. The pink ones will be claps. Yellow is kind of hi-hats. Orange tends to be sort of like cymbals, open hi-hats. Down here you've got rides, really kind of high-pitch open hi-hats. These ones tend to be kind of odd percussive hits or synth type sounds, these aqua ones down here. And then these will just be the lower percussion hits. So you'll have like kind of a low bongo, a high conga type thing up here. Or some of these will be kind of really low-end heavy synthy type percussive hits. These ones in the middle mixed in probably be like the lower bongos, and up here is where you'll get kind of like the higher congas and stuff. So yeah, let's get going. We'll start by just programming in a quick beat. We'll start with one layer of kick and snare, and let's not go two-step because it can get a bit boring after a while listening to it. So if we go to B here, we could do like a little switch up with the late kick here. We go back to A, we could on the snare maybe give it a little ghost hit here. This shows the velocity, so I'm just going to pull this down to, I don't know, 40 something maybe. And on B, we'll unclone it, and then we'll maybe add another one, something like that. I'm not going to put any hats or anything in here yet, because they'll probably sound a lot funkier if we did something in Addictive Drums and layer it in. I've got everything basically on one drum group, just with the default Pro L on it, just to prevent any clipping. And I think each of these tracks, except for EXO, because it tends to attenuate stuff quite a lot anyway, each of these has got a tool with a gain down by 6 dB, and I think the hi-hats and cymbal one, did I put one on here? Yeah, I think this one might be by 10. Yeah, this one's by 10. Bring those tops way down, just as a starting point, and so I hopefully don't blow anyone's ears off. Alright, so there'll be a good opportunity to test the sound here. Let's just get any old kick drum. So we will just open EXO here, click on here, go into the cloud. Hopefully you're getting that. I'll test it in a minute when it's looping. Just start with something like that, and you can just lock it in, and then we'll move to our snare. You can scroll way into the cloud with your mouse wheel and refine the search a bit more. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is when you play these back through here, that they're really attenuated compared to what they would be if you just drag these samples out. Fortunately, you have loads of options for dragging it out to the door, so you can say all we wanted was that kick and snare. You can render the waves, you can drag the full break that you've created out. Obviously that's just the kick and snare, or you can drag all of the stems out to separate tracks, which is nice. Just get rid of those. Or you can drag the MIDI out, and you can. So yeah, let's do. If we were to take this, go back to the Edit tab. Just have to OK that. Let's put this on AAAB. So it'll play A 3 times, and then it'll switch to B on the 4th rotation. Let's find a different snare first. if you want to zoom back out, you can go like that, and then wherever you have the cursor pointing when you scroll is where it will zoom in and out. So kind of just move it around like this. Where you've got these big clusters, this is likely to probably be where a lot of specifically drum and bass kicks are, because the majority of my sample packs are going to be drum and bass packs. So we can have a look through here. Alright, well, yeah, we'll lock that one in. But where this gets kind of interesting is, let's just add a hi-hat to it, why not? Let's go back to the arrangement, and we'll just do something pretty basic here. Bring maybe these ones down. Yeah, something like this. And then yeah, we'll just find a couple of hi-hat samples. Just let it play. And then we'll find something for this other one. Oops. Probably somewhere down here. So yeah, once we go to this one, maybe change this up a little bit here. And we can put these on a choke group so that they choke each other out. You can also add swing within this thing, and it will all be a part of everything that you drag out of here. So if we wanted to render that now, we'd have this different beat here. But you can see if you look at the waveform, it's like almost kind of clipped everything down, or it's attenuating everything so that the peaks are almost like normalized or something. It's definitely doing something behind the scenes, because we've done absolutely no processing there at all. There's nothing changed here, no added distortion or clipping or any added gain. So it's interesting. I do wonder what it's doing there, or if there's some way to stop it from doing that. But yeah, so what I was thinking we'd do is, once we found some samples that we like here, probably start adding some other elements in, and obviously then we can find one shots that work with what else we've got. After that, probably move them to Backbone. I mean, what we could try doing here as well, which I often do, and you can get some quite decent results. Sometimes it'll be a bit much, and we'll probably want to bring the velocity of all of these ones down a bit if we're going to layer them up. We've got here, yeah, something like 80 on both of these, and change B as well. Alright, and then I don't know, we could maybe cut the lows off of this one a bit. Find something a bit more acoustic sounding on this layer. I don't even feel like I can hear that. Let's see. is there. It's just too similar to the other one. Let's have a look. I mean, like, we could use the transient. You can do some sort of transient shaping and stuff in here, but it's a bit basic, and you could do this much better in Backbone or Groove Agent. Oh right, it's this guy playing over the top of it. Like, try shaving a bit of the transient off of this one. But yeah, this is definitely not my favourite tool for doing this kind of stuff. But you can get some kind of happy accidents just without really messing with any of this. Just leave everything at default, I find, and you'll find samples that you'll hear them together and you'll think, yeah, those go quite well together. But when layering kicks out like this, it's probably best to take the low end out of one of the layers, otherwise you're going to get some pretty boomy messes. Alright, and then let's do something with a clap with the main snare hits as well. Just not with the ghost ones, but with these guys here. And find a clap somewhere here. That'll do. Replace this kit with something a bit more acoustic, I think. That one's, no, not feeling that one either. Let's lock that one in, but change this one. And yeah, it's really, you've got no real way of seeing them side by side and checking phase relationships or anything in here at all. So yeah, it's a fun way to choose samples and find ones that work well together. And we'll look at the randomization in a sec, because that can yield some quite interesting results sometimes. So let's take a look at that now that we've got enough elements in here. Still probably only going to use the kicks and snares from this, and do the tops in Addictive Drums because they just sound a bit more interesting. Okay, so oh right, yeah, and the sample combiner here. So you can just kind of roll the dice here. These are your default ones that you've locked in, and then these are all supposed to be sort of tonally similar. There'll be some weirdness in here as well, but you can generally find some quite other cool combinations, and then as you choose those ones as your new default, you can further refine it. So yeah, you see what I mean? You can just stumble upon something really cool very easily with this. And you can change the pitch and stuff here as well. But yeah, let's just try randomizing the whole thing, see what we get. say we decided we really liked that as our new one, and you can just hit this and it will change those hits to the new default that's locked in, and then randomizing that will be, the randomizations will be based on these new sounds instead of the ones that were there before. But yeah, it just sounds really weak compared to if I was to load all of those sounds directly in Groove Agent or something. I'm not exactly sure what's going on behind the scenes in EXO there, but I think it's doing some kind of basic leveling or gain staging or something internally to try and give you good results without really having to tweak it too much. Maybe, I don't know. You do have levels here as well, but because typically with these hi-hat samples, like if we open that, you can see that if these are not to scale or whatever, this is to 0 dB or whatever, these hi-hat samples are pretty loud, and normally you'd have to be bringing these down to, like, I don't know, minus 12 dB for them to not be super obnoxious. But even at their default volume, it definitely sounds like it's doing something to attenuate them more than it's attenuating the kick and snare. So I think it must be doing some sort of behind the scenes gain stage mix type basic rough mix for how these different one shots should be roughly balanced in a drum mix. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe it just attenuates everything equally, and I'm not sure. But yeah, so when it comes to dragging this stuff out now, we render the WAVs here. You can also drag each sample out raw, so we could just bring out each of those samples. Say we like that combination of samples. These should all be kind of at their default, as if we dragged them in from a folder, basically, untouched by this. You could drag them in processed as well, and you can see this is what EXO is doing to them. So it's definitely attenuating everything to kind of squash it down into a much narrower dynamic range, doing some sort of basic behind the scenes mixing for you, basically, I think. So yeah, maybe if there's an option to turn that off somewhere, I don't know about it, but maybe there is. All right. So yeah, let's throw some of these samples. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on these samples. Let's find something that we're at least kind of grooving with here, and then just gonna get rid of all of that, and then drag that lot in. Not particularly stoked on that, so let's find in this one. This is the one that isn't high passed, so going to be looking for a kick drum in this one. I mean, if you look at this one, it's just super fat, I think. Let's have a listen to it. I'm using headphones, so it'd probably help actually if I throw an analyzer in here. Let's kind of look at the low end a bit. For this one, I'm just looking for something with a good bit of bottom end and nice punch somewhere close to 100 that we can kind of pitch right. Let's try something like that, because in Backbone we can just use the tonal element of it and get rid of the little kind of synthy click if we want. And then on this one I'm looking for something a bit more acoustic. Just something with a nice bit of top end. See how that works. Is this one still filtered? Alright, let's deal with the snare. Get something a bit nicer happening there. Maybe like a sort of side stick or... One's got a nice smack to it. Maybe something with a bit more top end on this one, or a clap. Okay, so I'm not going to bother with any of the pitching, just trying to find things that work together. Alright, we'll settle with that, because I'm just really trying to figure out a workflow that works for me here. So I'm just going to drag those sounds out. Might actually just, yeah, let's drag those hi-hats out as well, why not? Drag it all out raw. And then we can close this for now. Actually, I'm going to want to turn it off. And what we got here, this should be the kick. Yeah. Oops. Take you. I forget I've got a drag from here. Want him on this one. And this guy as well. Alright, and then let's get the snare version open. I always forget that you can't just drag from here, I don't think, onto... No, you can't. Got to open the audio container and drag from here to whatever you want to put it on. Keeps tripping me up. What we got here? Clap. Let's put that on a different layer here. Alright, so what have we got here? So yeah, Backbone's a pretty interesting instrument. Alright, so let's get that open. So with this, we've got a bit of clashing low end here, but you know, say we wanted that kind of acoustic sort of noisiness there. we could decompose this one. This tends to be a bit glitchy in Bitwig. Hopefully it doesn't crash, but we'll see. If we put this pre-listen on and just solo the low here. Okay, so it's separated into like a tonal element, which is kind of this low boomy part, and then the noise element, which is kind of a lot of the transient punch and the tail without any sub in it. So if we were to bring this guy back in, we shouldn't get as much muddiness in the low end that way. There's a few things that we can do from this point. So we could apply just with the top soloed without, you can dial it in further here, but let's just go ahead and apply that. And then our new version here is the decomposed sample without the low end. So this shouldn't be too tonal now, so it doesn't really need tuning against this kick. I mean, it could probably still benefit from it, and you can do that. Let's have a look at this one. You can do some stuff, where are we? Yeah, you can analyze the pitch of the more tonal one, like this top kick, if you're that interested in the pitch. Or you can select kind of a region and analyze again. I know there's a way to do that somehow. But yeah, if it says it's G sharp 1, where is it? G sharp 1. See, it's probably more likely. Yeah, okay. We'll go with G sharp 1. You can change the pitch of it. Excuse me. And let's see, what's this? Oh yeah, then move it back up to its regular range, I think. Oh, C3 range. So that's its default right there now. And then this one, because it's really just kind of noise, I think if we just turn the key follow down, there we go. And you can go in and further refine the envelopes here. You can, where are we? Show the waveform. You can sync it. You can even go in tighter to 30-second notes here. We want to put this. Oh, it's because I'm on the filter envelope. I was wondering why that wasn't doing anything. Alright, here we go. So say with this top one, I mean it doesn't really have much noise. Let's just kind of see what it deems as the noise layer if we put pre-listen on here. It's going to take away a lot of the knock there. But that does sound a bit more rounded of a kick now, taking just the noise and kind of transient snap of one and the body of another. It's quite a nice, quite a cool, interesting workflow, this whole decompose thing that Steinberg uses, just like spectral But there we can change the pitch of the tonal element, and we've got it mapped to keyboard now. But we've turned keyboard tracking off the noise element, so it still kind of sounds organic as you pitch it up and down, because it's only really the sub that's going up and down, and the timbre of the sort of snare rattle or whatever isn't getting pitched. And then you can independently shape the amp envelopes or filter them differently. It really is quite a cool instrument, Backbone. And you can do this decompose thing within Groove Agent 5 as well, but working with one-shots, I kind of prefer the Backbone interface for that. It's just quite nice. So yeah, let's have a look at the snare one. Do some interesting stuff in Backbone with other samples that aren't drums as well, to be honest. Alright, snare's already kind of clappy and not quite sure why I chose that one, but and I definitely need pitching. Let's see what happens trying to decompose the snare. Might be able to remove quite a lot of that ringy resonance from it. Let's try and dial it in a bit more. Yeah, it's mad. You just kind of take out that whole tonal resonance from the snare. Maybe even replace it with another one. We could try getting like a different acoustic sort of snare and try and put it back and make it fit. That would be kind of mental. But yeah, I could probably dial that in a bit more. Okay, sure. Let's get rid of that tonal bit there. We'll apply that. And you can see now the without even tuning them, the clap and the snare don't really sound like they're clashing quite as much now. Because we've kind of removed the tonal element from one of them. So that's quite cool. Yeah, see, the clap's not really going to have much tonal element. Maybe a little bit of sub rumble from when the hands smack together if it was a real clap, but I think this is a synthesized one anyway. So There's not really going to be anything to do with the decompose here. I mean, we could try and tune it better to work with the other one. I don't think pitch analysis is really going to do anything on either of these. Let's have a look. I guess, yeah, it sees the tonal bit here, and then I guess this must be where we kind of removed it, and it's just like a noise tail. You can kind of see the waveform, I guess, if we zoomed in a bit. Oh, a bit too much. Get back to that other tool. Yeah, you can see kind of where it transitions from having any tonal element at all really to being pretty much all noise. I think before we decomposed that, it would have been probably a bit more resonance in it. So yeah, these kind of waveforms probably would have continued through it for a bit longer. I don't know. Could probably look, yeah, we could test it with a different drum. So yeah, so now let's get our pattern. We could take our pattern from EXO actually. Probably save us a little bit of time. Just take the beat as MIDI, bring it out to here. I'm going to turn this off so it doesn't play all the time. And if we take this down to here and just get rid of everything here and put these guys on C3 to start. Ooh, get rid of you. Don't need any of that actually, or any of these channels anymore. Goes well. And oh, where'd my other beat go? I'm going to have to backpedal a bit there. I want to duplicate that to the snare first. And then we'll get rid of all this. Alright, good. So let's get rid of the kicks on this one. Just leave leave the snare that has the ghosts in it. I think it's that one, yeah. And move that up to C3 on this channel. Oh, that sounds terrible. Oh yeah, this guy here. We just want these guys on C3. Oops. So yeah, you can hear that even with each of those backbones gained down 6 dB, it's still louder than it was coming out of EXO. Alright, let's have a look. We can come back and change the drums a bit more later, or we can choose completely different ones from EXO to layer up. Generally, when I'm layering them up, I like to do it in Backbone specifically for that decompose feature. It can be really nice for just making drum sounds layer nicer, play a bit nicer, not clash as much, and require less EQing to make them fit. I mean, those are really, they need a lot of transient shaping and all that stuff. But let's have a look at getting a break or something in here, because then we've got an idea of what kind of sound in the kick and snare we're going to want anyway. So let's have a look. I'm really just messing around here, trying different workflows with drums with the tools I have available to me. If I was going to do them in audio, it's easier I find to do it in Cubase, honestly. So I'm trying to find a MIDI workflow that kind of works for me here. And using Groove Agent definitely works for me more than the native slicing and everything. So let's just find some classic break or something. Oops. Oh, the classic.
Get when you want.
Yeah, I mean, we could try. I don't want to find some original. Find some original funk ones in here. I think one of these other folders up here has probably got loads actually. Where are we? It's in here. Could try something like that actually. See how we do with that. So I'm just going to drag that straight in onto there. Alright, just like in the first live stream I did, I think the other week, we'll go in and just slice this up and just go to the sample tab, make sure it knows. Alright, it's 2 bars, yeah, okay. We'll create slices. Looks like it's captured everything, and then just clean up the ends a bit. See, this is what I mean by the Steinberg algorithm's just so much better. They're not snapping to 0 crossings though. Okay, it is. There must just be a lot of 0 crossings in that bit there. Just always just that tiniest little pop. See, there's one that's a bit off. But generally there, yeah, it's a lot tighter than the Bitwig algorithm. And that's just where there's a hi-hat before. Doesn't seem like it's snapping to 0 crossings there to me, but it says it is. Maybe I'm just not bringing it back far enough. Let's get it close enough anyway. Alright, looks like we've got an extra one here maybe. No, it's just way early. See, it's not perfect by any means, but generally a bit more accurate than Bitwig's. And the thing I do like about it is when you're correcting these things, changing the end of one changes the start point of the next one as well. So you've only ever got to change the end. You don't have to also be lining up the front like you did the end of the last one. Whereas in Bitwig, the drum machine has a separate sampler for each drum slice, with its own output as well. So every slice has its own output, whereas in here, once we've sliced this, it's really easy to bust everything out to groups. Don't even know if this break's going to sound any good pitched yet, but it just sounded kind of funky. I liked it. Who knows if we'll even use that many of the hits from it anyway. Interesting, a little bit of a pop at the end there. Let's put a little fade on it or something. It'll be fine. Alright, so we've got that slice now. Our pattern should be okay. There's definitely a little kind of pop somewhere in the end part there. Let's sort that out. Somewhere here in these last few. Right there. Yeah, that should sort it out. So at the moment that's just sliced up at its default pitch, but you can quite easily pitch the whole sequence by just clicking on the first one, shift clicking on the last one, and then just going either on the master main tab here, you've got a pitch control, coarse and fine, or you can go into pitch and start doing envelopes and things like that. So we can let it keep playing, and if we put follow transport on this, just solo it. Alright, don't know if I'm going to be leaving it at that pitch, but let's see what we've got here now. God, not being able to stop it with the spacebar when plugins are open is so annoying. I wish Bitwig would sort that out. Maybe there's some other key you got to hold down. Alright, so let's do something with the pattern in Groove Agent there. Try and get it to kind of match our arrangement in the kick and snare there. Which we may well change anyway. I'm not particularly stoked on them. Again, I'm just messing around here, trying to find stuff that works. I really think Groove Agent is definitely gonna have to be my default way for breaks, working with breaks. It's just a bit more practical when, I mean, again, it's annoying because it never gets it right. But if we go to this slice tab and classify these, yeah, it's made most of them percussion this time. So sort it out. Yeah, it's probably just going to be kick, kick, snare, hat. Oh, another kick. We'll switch up there. Okay. Alright, so then we can just quickly bust those out. See if we can make this work. And yeah, I think I'm more likely to just change out the other kick and snare because I'm not a huge fan. What's interesting as well with breaks is you can take individual one shots out of it and render them down as one shots and throw them in Backbone and layer those as your acoustic layers with like something with a big low end to it. So that can be quite an interesting thing to try. It can be quite difficult, but sometimes you can luck out and get quite a good result, even without having to really mess with EQs too much at all. It's really the issue, I think, really is with choosing the right samples. Like if you're not going to go fully in depth, you'll luck out when you choose the right samples that their phases aren't interfering with each other. Let me just double check. Okay, cool, yeah. The audio is coming through. I should have checked that earlier. Alright. Let's go into the pattern here. Oh, yeah, first let's send all of the kicks to the kick bus here. Don't really need this so big anymore, so I don't have to scroll all over the place. There we go. Send them to the snare bus. Oh, looks like I called the third one snare as well. Yep. And these guys will send their oops. Okay. And then in the mixer, we can give these their own individual outputs. And where that comes in quite cool, especially for me, coming from Cubase, is I've got access to a lot of the similar Cubase processors here. This is the the Cubase channel EQ basically right here, or you've got in the dynamics you've got all of the Cubase compressors, gate expander, the envelope shapers. So yeah, that's a good benefit, is you can even outside of Cubase I can still kind of use some Steinberg plugins if I want to within here. I'd say the same about Halion, but Halion 6 just seems incredibly buggy. I've only really been testing it on libraries, and it doesn't seem very stable at all. If I want to use my libraries, I have more luck using them in Halion Sonic. Halion 6, just for throwing samples in and manipulating them, so far doesn't seem as bad. But I was trying to use my Vibrant library for some Rhodes stuff, just messing around with some chord features in Scalar 2 really, was all I was doing, but don't know whether it was Scalar 2 as well being a bit buggy, but it kept giving me messages that it was Halion crashing. So yeah, I don't know if Halion 6 is that stable in here, which is unfortunate, because fortunately the Bitwig sampler is really good. So that's not one of its shortfalls at all. I can still use, I think all my other Steinberg tools quite well in here. Groove Agent seems really quite stable, and Backbone so far seemed pretty good. I've had it crash on me a couple of times when decomposing samples or when using the preview before you decompose them sometimes. And sometimes they can get a bit unstable with, well, it doesn't seem to be happening anymore, but I think back in Bitwig 4.1, when I was opening up these additional browsers, sometimes they would crash. But that seems fixed. The resizing and everything seems to be working pretty well. So yeah, I can't complain with that. But yeah, Halion, not so much. Alright, so let's get to the pattern. And we've already got these bust out, but inside the pattern editor now, they're all labeled for us. Makes things a bit easier to work with than editing it in Bitwig. So, you know, we can get our snares a bit more on point here, and maybe take, I might actually take that whole area there, actually, pull that across. That one's a bit more on the grid now. See how that sounds. Oh, what's up with that? Have I got it muted or something? Something soloed? Oh, so yeah, I haven't activated the outputs down here. So yeah, we've got our master, and then these are our 3 additional ones that I created for the separate groups for kick, snare, and hat. And that's the other big reason I'm going to continue using Groove Agent over the native drum machine is don't have this big clutter of channels within Bitwig. Bitwig's mixing environment, because you've already bust them within here, and it also gives me that extra level, 4 extra insert slots where I can use basically Cubase effects that I've been used to using for a long time. So yeah, those are the 2 benefits of using Groove Agent for me. And then you can also edit the patterns basically using the Cubase drum map, which I'm really used to using. If you want to show the note lengths, you can do it the more conventional way like this. So yeah, I mean, we could quantize some of it, but don't really want to do that. Just lose a bit of the live feel. I might pull these guys in to this one's quantized. And what else we got? I don't think. Can't remember what tune I've heard use this. I've definitely heard it quite a lot though. Like we could yeah, you know, I might actually pull this out and edit it in Bitwig, because I'm probably gonna just kind of take big chunks of it and move it around, and this is a bit tight to work in for that kind of workflow. If you just want to change kicks and snares around, like this kind of stuff, it's good, but you can't really easily just overcopy whole chunks of stuff really in here as you can in Bitwig, where you can just time select a range and move it or whatever. So yeah, let's drag it out. Oops, wrong channel. What am I doing? And I don't know why I'm alt tabbing. Alright, so we'll grab this, put it over here. Yeah, we've still got follow transport on. That's the one thing I always forget with Groove Agent. So if you've got that on as well as the MIDI in the arrangement, it'll play kind of twice over itself and phase all over the place and sound weird. So I might just pull this bit in. Let's just mess with this bit here. Just want to get this bit looping. Yeah, I mean that's the only downside here, is even in Bitwig, even if I put on the drum editor and only show the keys that are available for editing, which helps, but it doesn't label anything. You just kind of have to go by their position, really. So we would want the snare. Yeah, let's put it here. This guy here. Don't really want this double kick here. Oops. Okay, it's a better starting point. There's a bit of stuff here that I think needs lining up a bit better. Might pull these guys onto the grid. No, it's way too straight there now. And then yeah, let's do something about that kick and snare. Especially the snare there. Let's mute that one. Gonna hold shift and pull that off the grid a bit there. This bit here. Let's have a little shuffle. Yeah, right there. Just pull it. Yeah, I should just pull this bit in. There we go. Let's try that. And then yeah, I'll pull this snare back here as well. So that's late. kind of interesting actually, that little turnaround there at the end. Once it's kind of high passed and stuff, it'll probably sound kind of interesting. Alright, let's do something about that snare. That's bugging me now. Find something better. Let's find something better in EXO actually. We'll keep that MIDI there because we'll use that again. But let's just mute these guys for now and just find a better kick and snare to work with this break. Start with one layer. Oh, it's switched off. That'll help. Alright, that's definitely more in the ballpark of what we want to be looking for, I think. Something a bit more acoustic and funky. Let's see what else it gives us as randomization options. Alright, let's treat the break a little bit. Alright, so yes, on this hat channel here, let's get an EQ. Just make sure we're getting all the lows out of that. Right, so it looks like the lowest fundamental of the snare really is around 260-ish. I think pitching the break up must have increased the volume. I think I just made the transients more punchy. I want to take quite a lot of lows off the kick here as well, but not so much that it makes those double kicks sound weird, otherwise we might have to change them for hats or something, the second ones. Let's have a look. Let's put another Pro Q on. Might just roll it off with a shelf this time. Right, now let's get back to checking out some kicks and snares. Let's go with it. We could try messing with the randomizer, see what we end up with. And remember, once we pull these out of here and put them into Backbone, they'll sound a lot louder, so it might be worth just bringing down the break here a little more for now. Sounds kind of breakbeaty, is a good starting point. I think I'll just leave that there for now. Leave it in XO. I mean, we could try and beef it up a little bit in XO. Where's our snare fundamental? I was already at about 300, so. Kick could be pitched up a bit. Different kick. Let's just get that back. Yeah, it's like a house kick or something, I think. Bit more like it. This kick here is definitely going to want to be changed. And you know, this is all without any dynamics processing or any transient shaping at all. We've already got quite a few layers that we could work with. I definitely don't like that original Backbone snare, so we'll probably drag the snare that we've used here out. See, okay, yeah, so you can just, oh, that's nice. You can drag the raw kit. I didn't realize you could actually drag the raw one-shots as well. That makes things a lot easier. So I can just drag this snare to here, here. Oh, I need it open. Yeah, I need it open. Let's see. Go back to, where are we? The kick's a bit muddy because we've got the backbone one playing as well as one in EXO. Let's maybe mute this one. Oops. Here we go with the crashing. Yes, I've run into this before trying to drag things out of EXO, and it does that. Might actually have to close it and reopen that, which is fine. At least Bitwig doesn't crash when plugins do. Will it reload though now? That's the question. It's not looking like it's going to. I might need to restart or pull the plug here. Let's have a look, or just work with something completely different to EXO for the rest of this video. Interesting. Yeah, I've run into that before. I'm not sure if it's Bitwig that's crashed or not though. Okay, that should fix the problem. Alright, let's try EXO again. Okay, looks like we're in business this time. So, just got to quickly draw in our little kick snare groove again, which is pretty simple. It was just this. Oops, that wants to be on the one above. And on B, we'll do that. And then, yeah, just a couple of little ghost hits, wasn't it? Like here. And here. Something like that. And on that setting. Alright, and then let's just find some samples. Get rid of this. Yeah, one thing that's kind of interesting is I think as long as you leave your plugins open in Bitwig, I think I must have changed a setting where it started doing this. As long as you don't close the instruments or whatever, whenever you change the channel, it'll switch to the interface for the instrument that you've got loaded on that channel. I think as long as they're all open, yeah, it'll always do it. It's quite handy. I've been kind of closing them and reopening them, but I need to remember that it does that. But yeah, as kind of wigged out, you can see it's still got that kind of white outline on the backbone snare channel. I'll just delete that channel anyway, to be honest. Oh, now it's moved to that one. Yeah, I think Bitwig is kind of on the brink of wigging out. I might have to have a little break, come back in 10 minutes, try and save this project and reload Bitwig. Yeah, I'm just going to wrap it up for a bit. It's 11:30. I'll keep going for a bit, messing around with drums in here. We'll get some addictive drums, cymbals and hi-hats in here, and once you've got those in and you've got a little bit of bus processing on this drum group here, you can start changing the hi-hats and rides in addictive drums. You can start randomizing kicks and snares in EXO, and you can get some quite interesting results. Really, I was just trying to experiment with backbone a bit tonight. I think we'll just stick with EXO, Groove Agent and addictive drums, keep it a bit more simple, and maybe in EXO to kind of counter the attenuation of the processing, we'll just use the level and some of the extra saturation stuff down here. But I'll be back in a few minutes. We'll keep that same break and throw in some different one shots in EXO, and then we'll move straight onto addictive drums and get some top end in there. And then yeah, I'll show you how you can, just by randomizing and skipping through presets, because you're only changing the mix of kind of the overheads really. In addictive drums, when you're only using hi-hats and cymbals and rides, it can be nice for percussion as well, and so can EXO. You can just put in a conga and a bongo or something on the flexies, and the randomizations will often give you some pretty interesting combinations of percussion that you wouldn't probably wouldn't think in a million years to try together, and sometimes they're quite cool. A lot of the time it'll give you stuff that doesn't work, but when you find something cool, you can select those as your new default hits and then start randomizing from there, and sometimes dial it in, sometimes it'll start going way off the mark and you have to go back and choose another default sample. But I really enjoy working with XO. It can be great for inspirational purposes. I just wish it didn't automatically kind of squash the volumes and the dynamic range down to make it kind of sound like a processed loop without you having to process it yourself. It just means that if you want that much control, you kind of just have to get things chosen in here that you like together, and then just drag the one shots out and do the processing in something like Backbone, where you've got just so much more control over each individual hit. And Backbone's great because you can like decompose those kicks and snares and just remove nasty tonal resonance from acoustic snares sometimes that'll be in the kind of low mids that you don't want. That removing the tonal element from an acoustic snare can take care of that really well. Kind of similar to, I guess it's spectral correction really. So I guess it's maybe a similar process to something like Soothe. I don't know. Soothe is more like I don't know if Soothe spectral granular. Soothes almost like a bunch of automated multi-band compressors though, isn't it? Just like dozens of them or whatever on tiny little peaks that you can dial in. I think it's different really. But yeah, the decompose can be great for drum layering specifically. You can just remove the weight of a kick from a break kick and then throw in just the tonal body of a 808 or 909 or some sort of synthesized processed kick drum that will just add all the weight and low end that you want to it at the correct key that you want. A lot of my sample packs all the drum hits are pre-processed for drum and bass, so they're pitched a lot of the time already to work in drum and bass tunes, most of them. So but I find using samples like that in here, it just kind of squashes them too much because they're already heavily processed and clipped to hell, and you put those in here and it starts attenuating them and they just kind of sound like mush sometimes. But it can be good to find good combinations of one shots. Anyway, I'm going to take a quick break and step outside for a minute and reboot Bitwig and hope that we don't have any issues with the project. Otherwise I'll just have to load another one of my break samples that I've already pre-sliced or something as a starting point. Anyway, I will be back shortly, guys. Just going to stop the stream for a sec. No, I'll leave it going. I'll be back in a minute. You can always edit this bit out. Let's see. Save as. Let's call it a sketchy crash. All right. Let's close this. Okay, looks good. I'm just going to get a quick drink and step outside for a quick minute, and I'll be back in 2-3 minutes. All right. All right. Let's get back to it. Let's get XO open. Should hopefully have scanned my collection by now. Yep. All right. So I'm gonna have to draw the pattern in again. Oh no, we already did that. All right, good. So let's choose a kick. Something kind of synthy, I think. We'll stick with that for now. What we got in snares. Yeah, with a little pitching, I think that'll work. Let's move on to Addictive Drums now. I'm going to solo it, and we'll start with a bar, maybe 2, and I think the hi-hats start at C2. Yeah, I'm just going to do a little 8th note pattern, I think, to start with, and we can switch it up. show the velocities actually. Scroll this back up. Just going to put them anywhere for now. And you've got like so many different articulations of hi-hats in Addictive Drums that you can really get some quite nice live sounding combinations, especially when you start preset diving. And it almost works in a similar way to like randomizing EXO, so you can get like different combinations of hats and rides. And let's actually maybe start this way. We could maybe go up to an open hat here. And yeah, let's just duplicate that out and change it a bit. And this is on a very default preset at the moment. Let's change to something a bit more interesting on Addictive Drums. It looks like I had something on actually earlier. Second bank of presets tend to be the kind of more processed ones that work better with electronic kits. It's quite... So now when we start going in and doing stuff like randomizing the kicks and snares, let's just go into EXO and drag the MIDI in from here. Hopefully it doesn't crash this time. Let's put that there. And duplicate that. I'm going to consolidate these two. Let's go in and make a couple of changes here. Yeah, that'll do. Let's maybe change the open hat. No, let's keep that choked by the pedal here. But now when let's beef up the EXO kick and snare a little bit. It's sounding a bit weak against everything else. Worry about the pitching and other stuff in a minute. Let's see. Probably going to want to mess with the envelopes a bit before we really go too crazy here. Okay, so now we've kind of got the envelopes dialed in a bit. Let's maybe take a little bit of the bottoms off the snare as well. Let's get it looping 4 bars so we get the little switch up at the end there. Oh right, I'm going to actually have to change the break. On bar 2 here, we're going to want that kick to be a hat. So we get that kind of shuffle. This is all a little off the grid here. I guess it works. It might still sound better with a hat there though. Yeah, it kind of rolls in a bit better. Or we could even put a little shuffle in there. Something like this. Yeah, that'll work. Alright. Just want to go into Groove Agent here. Tweak the pitch a bit. Need to get everything selected again. And where are we? Need to expand this. Yeah, I guess where we had it sounds quite cool. Alright. Let's have a little play with some different presets in here for these hi-hats. Might just get a Pro Q after Addictive Drums here before the tool. Just get any bottoms out of it. Yeah, the Studio prog's got quite a nice hat actually. Alright, now let's have a quick little play with the randomization here, see what we get. Still some kind of some weirdness on the snares there. Let's have a look. Let's get an EQ on that, on the external bus down here. I've already got one. Let's have a look. And you know, we could take it a step further inside Addictive Drums. Let's go to the kit and let's load a different ride. Okay, so we got a couple of different rides there. Let's go into this first block. I think the rides are. Now you can either alternate one ride between different variations. Any change there? No, I think just duplicate that out with the ride. And that'll probably sound drastically different if we were to go through some different presets now in Addictive Drums. And then at that point, you know, you can go, oh, yeah, okay, we've only got the one ride now, but it's fine, we're only using one. Before this, we could, and we're going to want an EQ at some point in the chain here, but we could try a bit of compression, bit of saturation with the compression here. Yeah, so you can get quite nice variations in the break, and then, you know, at any point we can just go back and try randomizing again here. I wouldn't necessarily use the transient shaping here. But you can hear just combining a high pass break, a good one with some nice shuffles, with hi-hats and rides from Addictive Drums. You get like a really nice sounding, live sounding top end. And then it's really just about choosing the right one shots. I mean, we would probably want layered one shots, and obviously EXO, like I said earlier, is attenuating stuff and squashing it down into a certain dynamic range, which isn't really ideal. But you know, we had a pretty decent break there a minute ago. I'm sure a bit of tweaking of these kicks and snares, and we'll find something else nice. Let's just focus on the kick first. We could just go back to the selector here. These are more kind of house and techno-y type kick drums down here. Yeah, that one's a really short, snappy one. That's not really what I'm looking for at all. I thought I just had the envelope too tight. That's a really kind of muddy sounding kick, but get the envelope shape kind of right and we can find something else maybe similar. But you can hear how it's picking kind of similar sounding kicks. The algorithm for the randomization really is quite good. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to layer kicks to really get ones that I'm really happy with. But you know, the break and tops layer I quite like. I probably wouldn't even change that very much really. It's just about finding excuse me, some nice kicks and snares to layer up in Backbone really. You can I could probably continue to use this as a guide. I'm probably going to wrap it up shortly because I've been at it for a while, but yeah, I just really wanted to play with some of my drum plugins. This hasn't really been about drum processing or anything. It's just about me trying to figure out a drum workflow that's going to work for me. I I think this is it. Like I didn't have XO when I was using Cubase. It's been quite a recent addition for me, and really that was instigated by not really liking the Bitwig browser very much. I'm used to Media Bay in Cubase, and Media Bay is awesome. You can edit metadata, you can edit tempo and key of audio files in there, all right within Cubase. It's a bit like having a pretty solid sample manager right within your DAW. In here, I'm having to use ADSR sample manager, which can be a bit laggy, and it works. It's a better solution for, especially for working with musical loops and things like that, and if you want to audition them in project key and tempo and things. It's generally better than using this, but the Bitwig browser is great for finding plugins. Like if you load an instrument track, the browser is going to default to instruments and things like that. But I don't find it particularly good for browsing for samples. Fortunately, XO makes browsing for one-shots really easy and fun. The only thing that is bugging me a little bit about it is that behind-the-scenes processing that it's doing. I wish it didn't do that, and it would just let you fully control the mix yourself, but it's definitely attenuating things or squashing the dynamic range or something with compression. As you saw, the difference in level when I pulled out the processed one-shots compared to the unprocessed, which again was, if we render WAVs here, yeah, this is the processed kick here. It's all squashed. Let's see. Let's see. There's the processed one. There's the raw one. So you can see, there's quite a big difference there. And if we zoom right in, you can see, yeah, it does look like, let's have a look. Does it look like it's compressed or just attenuated? If we were to take this clip here, okay, yeah, it looks like it's definitely doing something more than just attenuating it. If you look at kind of this waveform here compared to this one, if we open both of these up to the same height, you can see the difference in the shapes of the waveforms here, or maybe it's just because there's phase differences in the phase. I've got them both dead on the same start position. That's interesting. So the processed ones actually change the start position slightly as well. But yeah, it's definitely doing more than just attenuating. It must be compressing it. You can just see the changes in the waveform. Some of these like spikier bits here have been on the processed one. Oh no, this was the raw one below. So this is the raw one, this is processed. You can see some of these kind of spikier bits have been kind of flattened out. Definitely looks like it must have been compressed. Some of these kind of more spiky bits here have been really rounded off. If we were to bring the gain of this one up, see it's very different. So yeah, I mean, I like that it does kind of make it really quick to audition how certain one-shots sound together. But I think honestly, if I was going to use those one-shots in a project, I would probably want to just drag them into something like Backbone at their actual raw volume and everything, and mix them and process them in there, layer them in there. Like that decompose feature is really fun. We could do that in Groove Agent. One thing I don't know if I've ever tried to see if you can decompose separate drum slices. That might be something worth a look. Let's try it. So say this kick drum here, if we go to edit, decompose. Oh, maybe we can. That's interesting. If we solo the noise. Doesn't seem to be doing anything unless, what if we solo tonal? Okay, it does work. I wonder if it does it on a per slice basis if we do just this one. Let's just experiment with this a sec. If I apply. Wow, that is cool. Okay, I never realised that you could do that on a per slice basis within Groove Agent. So technically, you could do some pretty cool stuff here. This might be something worth exploring. So what we could do with this kick drum is, if we solo the tonal, let's bring the sensitivity up a bit maybe. A bit more. We have to remember as well that it's being high pass. Let's turn that off. Or is it? Yeah, it's on here, sorry. Let's maybe go the other way. Right, it is that way. Right. Thinking about it. Yeah, too far. Solo the noise layer. Okay, so this is a good example, right? We've pretty much removed all the tonal element from that now. If we were to apply, what we could do now is, say we like that kick in XO, we can go to XO, we can take our raw kick to the Groove Agent channel, and on here, right, yeah, I don't think we can. Yeah, because it's sliced loop, we can't layer within Groove Agent. Bummer. Okay, what I was hoping was that you could just beef up. Oops, I think I've gone and glitched it out again now. I'm going to wrap it up in a sec anyway. What I was hoping was that you could decompose break hits in loops and then layer up one shots with them. Because if you're working on a beat that's, say, like if we drag this kick. Oh right, I've got to drag. That's what's going wrong. I have to drag it from here. No, it's still bugging out. But yeah, what I was hoping was that you could layer like a synthetic kick drum, something like this, with decomposed one-shots from breaks or slices from breaks. In order to do that, you'd be better off doing it in Backbone and just slicing the one-shots out of the break. And then once you've got those sliced up, rendering them as separate audio files, throwing them in Backbone, taking out the tonal elements, and then layering in your own solid subby kind of kick under it, and similar stuff with snares. And you can do some interesting stuff layering up some percussion hits with snares and that, and get some quite interesting snares in Backbone using Decompose. Might do a bit more of an in-depth video on Backbone soon, actually, because I think it's going to be maybe even more instrumental in my workflow here in Bitwig than it was for me in Cubase, honestly. In Cubase, I pretty much just went from Groove Agent back to the DAW with drums. Do most of it in Groove Agent and then bounce to audio and work in audio in the DAW. But I don't know, in Bitwig, I feel like there might be some interesting stuff you can do keeping it in MIDI, like some of the nut expressions that you can just draw out one long snare and make it repeat like a drum roll through it, and change like the balance of how quick it is to how slow the roll gets, or vice versa. There's some cool stuff you can do in MIDI with drums in here that I haven't really started to explore too much yet. And I think, you know, obviously doing something like that with snare rolls would be awesome, with like an aim and break or something if you were making some jungle. So that's something to look at. I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. It's really just been a messing around session tonight and trying to figure out, like I said, what works for me. I haven't really messed with working on drums too much in here yet. It's most of my focus has gone into learning how to efficiently use the modulation system and learning an efficient workflow for using LFO tool, because Bitwig doesn't have a multi-stage envelope generator that's quite that flexible. And things like side chaining and stuff, getting my head around all of that. I think I'm pretty much ready now to just start getting on with the creative process in Bitwig. But yeah, getting my drum workflow down, obviously, if I want to be making drum and bass, is quite important. So it's quite different here, working in drums, working in audio to Cubase. I think I'm going to be pretty much having to switch over mostly to a MIDI workflow until I'm ready to kind of bounce it and process it. But I don't know. I'm so used to working on audio in Cubase that if I was going to work on it in audio, I'd probably be better off just doing it in Cubase, honestly, because I still struggle a little bit with some of the shortcuts and everything in Bitwig editing audio. I think I need to remap more of my shortcuts from Cubase back over. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night there, and I'll be back probably next week, maybe over the weekend, but yeah, probably just next week. Peace out, guys. Have a good weekend.